The night the bridge went silent, no one in Riverton slept the same again. It wasn't the sound that woke the town. It was the absence of it. No engines, no footsteps, no familiar hum crossing the river. Just fog, thick and unmoving, as if the town itself was holding its breath.
Hold the line! Check the
4:37 in
supports!
the morning, a sharp metallic crack tore through the quiet. Then a deep groan, low, heavy, like the earth warning itself. And then nothing. By sunrise, yellow tape wrapped the bridge from end to end. Police cars blocked the road. Men in orange vests stood in silence, pointing, measuring, arguing in low voices. The bridge still stood. But it no longer felt trustworthy. From her bedroom window, 12-year-old Hannah watched it all unfold. She had grown up with that bridge. Its rhythm marked her mornings. Its echo closed her nights. Now it was quiet. Below her window, her father stood near the riverbank, helmet under his arm, eyes locked on the steel as if it might confess something. In Riverton, when things broke, people called him. Tonight, even he didn't have answers. At breakfast, the radio whispered words like structural failure and safety concerns. Hannah's mother turned the volume down. They'll fix it, Hannah said. Her father nodded. But he didn't look up. And in that silence, Hannah felt fear for the first time. Riverton wasn't built for disruption. It was a town of routines. Farmers crossing the bridge before sunrise. Children riding buses over the river. Ambulances using the shortcut that saved lives. Without the bridge, the town didn't just feel divided. It was divided. By midday, the cracks had spread beyond steel. Buses were delayed. Markets were cancelled. Shops opened late. Or not at all. People stood in doorways longer than usual. Talking. Waiting. As if words alone might hold things together. At school, teachers tried to keep lessons normal. But whispers traveled faster than chalk. Some students wouldn't make it on time anymore. Some wouldn't come at all. Hannah sat near the window beside her friend Malik. His family lived across the river. My dad says they should tear it down, Malik whispered. Build a new one. Old things don't last forever. Hannah said nothing. She remembered the bridge at night. Its lights reflected in the water like a second sky. She remembered how many lives had crossed it. After school, Hannah didn't go home. She walked to the river. The path was muddy. The air smelled of wet iron and leaves. The bridge loomed above her. Fenced off. Silent. Watching. Voices drifted from the other side. It's unsafe. It's reparable. You're not listening. She recognized her father's voice. Another man answered, tired and firm. We are listening. But your calculations assume a world that no longer exists. Hannah didn't understand the numbers. But she understood the tension. This wasn't just about a bridge. It was about trust. That night, dinner was quiet again. Why can't they agree? Hannah finally asked. Her father looked at her. Because everyone thinks they're answering the same question, he said. They're not. Later, Hannah sat at her desk and began to draw. She drew the bridge. Strong lines. Careful details. But this time, she added the river beneath it. Dark. Moving. Pressing. And for the first time, she understood something the adults hadn't yet realized. The bridge wasn't failing only because it was old. It was failing because the world around it had changed. Outside, the river flowed on. Patient. Unstoppable. And Riverton stood at the edge of a decision. Not knowing yet that being right would not be enough. By the next morning, Riverton had split in two. Not with anger. Not yet. But with urgency. On the west side of the river, people woke earlier. They walked longer routes. They adjusted. On the east side, time itself felt stolen. Deliveries didn't arrive. Customers didn't come. Doors stayed closed longer than they should have. The bridge hadn't collapsed. But life had. By noon, frustration replaced confusion. An emergency meeting was called at the town hall. Folding chairs scraped against the floor. Farmers sat beside shop owners. Teachers beside truck drivers. Different lives. The same problem. The mayor spoke first. Carefully chosen words. reassurance, promises without dates. Then the room erupted. It's dangerous. We can't wait months. That bridge is our history. History doesn't pay bills. Every voice was loud. Every face certain. Hannah sat in the back beside her mother, feet barely touching the floor. Her father stood near the front, reports clutched in his hands. When he spoke, the room quieted. The bridge can be repaired, he said. But only if we understand why it failed. Murmurs spread. This wasn't neglect, he continued. It wasn't bad design. It was change. Traffic increased. Water levels shifted. Time added weight no one planned for. A man stood up suddenly. So you're saying it's still safe? Hannah held her breath. I'm saying it can be made safe, her father replied. Another voice cut in sharply. Or we tear it down and start over. The word tear echoed through the room. Arguments collided. Fear met memory. Urgency met caution. No one was lying. No one was listening. Hannah watched adults speak past one another, each defending a truth that felt complete, but somehow wasn't. That evening, Hannah walked home alone. She stopped at the river again. The water moved faster now, swollen from upstream rain. Pressing. An idea began forming. Not a solution, but a question. At school the next day, Mrs. Langley stood at the front of the class. We're starting a new project, she said. Real-world problem solving. The room buzzed. We're going to talk about this town, she continued. And the bridge. Several students turned toward Hannah. Her heart raced. Your father is working on it, isn't he? The teacher asked gently. Hannah nodded. Then maybe, Mrs. Langley said, you can help us understand how people think about problems. Silence. Hannah raised her hand slowly. Maybe, the problem isn't the bridge, she said. A few students laughed softly. She swallowed. Maybe it's the question. Mrs. Langley leaned forward. What do you mean? Hannah took a breath. Some people are asking if it's safe. Some are asking if it's affordable. Some are asking if it's worth saving. They're all answering honestly. They're just not answering the same thing. The room went quiet. Malik looked at her, then nodded slowly. That afternoon, Hannah told her father what she had said. He listened carefully, not interrupting, not correcting. When she finished, he sat back. For the first time since the bridge closed, he smiled. Sometimes, he said quietly, engineers forget that problems don't fail all at once. They fail where understanding stops. Outside, clouds gathered again. And far upstream, the river was rising. The idea didn't spread quickly. It spread quietly. At first, people didn't talk about fixing the bridge. They talked about listening. Hannah's father proposed something unusual. Not another vote. Not another argument. A forum. No decisions. No shouting. Just explanations. The first night, the room was tense. People spoke like they always had. Protecting their side. Defending their fear. Farmers talked about spoiled crops and lost income. Shop owners talked about empty aisles and unpaid bills. Teachers talked about students missing school. Then the engineers spoke. They talked about stress points, metal fatigue, water pressure. Words most people didn't fully understand. But this time, no one interrupted. On the second night, something changed. People stopped preparing speeches. They started asking questions. What happens if we wait? What happens if we rush? What happens if we're wrong? Hannah sat in the corner, writing everything down. She noticed patterns the adults missed. No one wanted the same thing. But everyone wanted the town to survive. By the third night, the room felt different. Quieter. Heavier. That's when the outsider arrived. He came with a confident smile, a polished suit, and glossy blueprints rolled under his arm. I'm here with a solution, he said. His voice was smooth. Tear the bridge down. Build a new one. Fast. Modern. Guaranteed. The word guaranteed landed hard. People leaned forward. No uncertainty. No waiting. No risk. 6 months, he continued. Maybe less. Some nodded. Speed felt like safety. Hannah felt a knot tighten in her chest. Her father asked quietly, "And the river?" The man smiled. "We'll manage it." That night, Hannah couldn't sleep. She dreamed of machines tearing steel apart, of the river rushing through an open gap, of the towns standing on opposite sides, calling out to each other. The next morning, rain began to fall. Soft at first, then steady. By afternoon, the river swelled. By evening, it roared. Emergency crews gathered again at the bridge. Lights flashed across the water. The town watched from a distance, fear replacing debate. "This is proof," someone said. "The bridge is failing." Hannah stood beside her father, watching the water slam into the supports. The bridge shook, but it didn't break. Hannah whispered, "It's not failing." Her father turned. "It's responding," she said. Sensors beeped. Data streamed in. Stress, yes, but also strength. The bridge was bending where it needed to bend. Adapting. Hannah's drawings. Her notes. The voices she had heard. They all pointed to the same truth. This wasn't a choice between old and new. It was a chance to combine both. That night, her father rewrote the proposal. Not repair alone. Not replacement. Reinforcement. Preserve the heart. Strengthen the bones. Respect the river. The final meeting was silent. When the vote came, it was close. One hand. Then another. The decision passed. No cheering. Just relief. Outside, the rain slowed. The river settled. And Riverton crossed an invisible line. From arguing to understanding. Work didn't begin with noise. It began with waiting. For permits. For materials. For the river to lower its voice. The bridge stayed closed. Days turned into weeks. And patience became Riverton's new test. Mornings started earlier. Routes grew longer. Small frustrations stacked quietly on tired shoulders. Some people complained. Others adapted. A few did both. The bakery opened at dawn to catch customers crossing late. Neighbors shared rides without being asked. Farmers adjusted harvest times, even when it hurt. No one called it sacrifice. But that's what it was. Hannah visited the bridge almost every day. She watched workers study the old steel like doctors reading a pulse. They didn't rush. They listened. Old beams were cleaned, measured, respected. New materials arrived. Lighter, stronger, designed to work with the structure, not against it. Her father explained things simply. "This bridge doesn't need to be young again," he said. "It needs to be understood." Some evenings, Hannah helped organize notes for meetings. She noticed something strange. The town argued less. Not because everyone agreed, but because everyone felt heard. One afternoon, Malik joined her by the river. "My dad says he was wrong," Malik said. "About tearing it down." Hannah smiled softly. "He says listening took longer," Malik added. "But it saved more." Construction finally began. The sound of welding returned to the river. Steady, careful, deliberate. Not destruction. Renewal. Storm clouds gathered again one evening. The river rose slightly. Everyone watched. The reinforced sections held firm. Confidence grew. Not loud, but steady. Hannah stood with her father as the sun set behind the bridge. "People think strength means resisting change," he said. "But real strength is adapting without losing who you are." Hannah looked at the bridge. Old steel. New support. One structure. For the first time, she understood that this wasn't just about crossing a river. It was about how communities survive change. Slowly. Together. Weeks turned into months. The bridge slowly transformed before the eyes of Riverton. Old steel beams now rested on reinforced foundations. Workers moved carefully, welding, measuring, connecting. Every bolt and plate told a story. Of patience, of understanding, of survival. Hannah visited nearly every day. She walked the muddy paths to the riverbank, notebook in hand. She watched the beams shimmer in the sunlight. Listened to the hum of machines that were no longer threatening, but deliberate, almost musical in their rhythm. Her father often joined her. He explained technical details simply. But more importantly, he let her see the conversations. Engineers and townspeople debated calmly now. They didn't always agree, but they listened. Even Malik came more often. "Look at them," he said one afternoon. "They're actually talking instead of yelling." Hannah smiled. She realized the bridge had changed the town in ways no one expected. Not just the structure, but the culture of Riverton. At the market, farmers coordinated deliveries around construction schedules. Shop owners offered free rides for neighbors. Children walked safely past work zones, waving at the engineers who waved back. One golden evening, as the sun began to dip behind the river, Hannah and her father climbed to the top of the bridge. She placed her hand on the railing, feeling the steel hum beneath her fingertips. The river flowed steadily below, reflecting streaks of amber and pink. "People think strength is about resisting change," her father said softly. "But real strength is adapting, without losing what makes you who you are." Hannah looked at the bridge, the old intertwined with the new. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't flashy. But it was resilient. The town had learned a quiet lesson. Arguments didn't end completely. Disagreements still existed. But listening had become stronger than insisting. One afternoon, workers lifted the final beam into place. A collective sigh rose from those watching. Not cheering, but relief. Hope. A quiet pride. Hannah and Malik sat on the riverbank, sketchbooks open. "Feels different now," Malik said. "Not just the bridge. The town." "Yes," Hannah replied. "It feels like everyone's finally on the same page, even if the pages are different." The sun set completely, leaving streaks of pink and violet across the water. The bridge stood silently, strong and quiet. A symbol of what could happen when patience, understanding, and effort met together. And for the first time, Hannah realized that this bridge wasn't just a way to cross the river. It was a way for people to cross each other's doubts, and fears, and hearts. The morning the bridge reopened, Riverton woke in silence. No crowd, no speeches, no flashing lights. Just the steady hum of life returning. Cars rolled slowly across the steel. Footsteps echoed softly on the planks. Children walked hand in hand. Neighbors greeted one another in a way that felt different. Hannah stepped onto the bridge. Hand on the railing, she paused. Below, the river flowed calmly. Steady. Unstoppable. The bridge was still the same. Old steel intertwined with new support. A structure strengthened not by force, but by understanding. Her father joined her. He didn't need to speak. The quiet between them said everything. Years would pass. People would cross the bridge without thinking. But they would carry its lesson. Being right is easy. Understanding is harder. And sometimes, understanding is the only thing that truly holds a town, or a family, or a community together. Hannah looked back at Riverton on the far side. Shops reopening. Farmers moving carts. Neighbors waving from porches. Everything was the same. And yet, everything had changed. The bridge had done more than reconnect two sides of a river. It had connected hearts. And shown that patience, listening, and humility could overcome fear, doubt, and division. Hannah walked slowly to the center of the bridge. The sun broke through the clouds, casting golden light across the steel. She smiled. For the first time, she understood something very important. The answers we seek in life are not always found in being right. They are found in listening, and in trying to see the world through someone else's eyes. And as the river carried on below her, steady and eternal, so did Riverton. Stronger, wiser, together.